Joining us live is Miranda Devine, columnist at the Daily Telegraph and New York Post. Miranda, good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. I've been waiting to ask you for a couple of days now. I noticed that more and more sections of the American press are looking into Hunter Biden and those allegations that existed before the election that a lot of the mainstream media in the US had ignored. Well, now they're starting to cover it.
Funny, isn't it, now that it doesn't matter, now that Joe Biden is heading into the White House. They poo-pooed and put the kibosh and ignored the New York Post story that we broke on October 14, which was about 3 weeks before the election, which was emails that we had found on Hunter Biden's laptop that he abandoned at a Mac repair shop, and which implicated his father, Joe Biden, then the presidential candidate, in the family's shady influence peddling scheme overseas. But no one wanted to cover it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it sure is. Righto. And just locally here, some reports yesterday by yourself and Sharry Markson. You looked into the fact that Communist Party members are infiltrating a lot of businesses in China, consulates as well, as many as 10 different consulates in Shanghai in China. What's your reaction to this? What do you think of it?
Look, it's a terrific global story, of course, broken by Sharry Markson in Sky News and The Australian, and in the UK Daily Mail, and in a couple of other countries. And as well, I wrote a column about it today in the New York Post. It's basically a big membership list, 1.95 million Communist Party of China members that was leaked. It was actually taken from a website in Shanghai in 2016, but it found its way to an interparliamentary committee of concerned legislators around the world who are concerned about China's influence. And they had it verified by a cyber security company, and now we have that database, and I was able to find all the CCP members who work for American companies, including companies like Qualcomm and Pfizer and Boeing, which have direct national security implications. And they work, these CCP members, hundreds of them, they work for these companies in Shanghai. There are also 3 consular officials in the American embassy in Shanghai who are members of the CCP. So this is something that the State Department is, we believe, looking into, although they won't say anything. And it's also something that I reached out to the companies about. Only Boeing responded yesterday, and Boeing said it was very comfortable with its security arrangements. But I would think that certainly Americans are very concerned about the fact that Chinese citizens who have pledged allegiance to the Communist Party, who say in their oath of loyalty to the CCP that they will fight for communism to their dying breath and so on, it's quite problematic if they're in situations where they might have access to national security matters.
Yeah. Does it actually surprise you, though, Miranda, that this is the case? I mean, I say this because I asked Dave Sharma about this on our program yesterday, and he says that governments actually factor that in. They are aware of it, and they'd factor that in, particularly when it comes to a consulate in countries such as China. You just got to be very careful with the information that you share.
Well, I think what's different, though, is that some of these people have been working in these places for several years, and just last week, America, the Secretary of State, the State Department, changed the rules for visas for CCP members entering America. They used to be able to have a visa that was open for 10 years. Now they're only allowed single-use 1-month visas. So that's a real crackdown on CCP members. It's a reflection of the concern that the American government has about Communist Party members and their infiltration into all aspects of American life. So I think the fact that so many CCP members are working for these, Qualcomm, for instance, is a semiconductor manufacturer. Also, it works in 5G technology, and it signed a contract with the American Defense Department just a couple of years ago to build its sort of security system for its computers, its multi-factor authentication system. So that's pretty crucial infrastructure, security infrastructure. And if we're looking at CCP members with new eyes, I would think those companies ought to be doing the same.
Do you think that Joe Biden is going to muscle up to China in the same way that Donald Trump did, or even in a similar way?
Look, if you look at his past history, not at all. He was incredibly soft on China when he was the Obama administration's point man on China. There was that infamous trip that he took on Air Force Two with Hunter Biden, his wayward son, in 2013. And he went there ostensibly to stop China from stealing America's intellectual property and also militarising those islands in the South China Sea that have such drastic security implications for Australia and our other neighbours. And unfortunately, Joe Biden came away from that 2-week meeting with President Xi and other high-ranking Chinese officials with nothing. He came away empty-handed. But Hunter Biden, his wayward son, came away with a $1.5 billion deal for one of his companies with a subsidiary of a Chinese bank. So America lost, and the Biden family won in that situation.
OK, Miranda Devine, we've got to leave it there, but good to chat. We'll talk to you again soon.